The next morning began like every other day. Elisa tied her hair into a neat ponytail and stepped out of the house with a smile. She had barely reached the end of the street when a sleek black SUV slowed beside her. She had barely reached the end of the street when a sleek black SUV slowed beside her. The tinted window rolled down. A graceful woman smiled from inside. Almost everyone did. Grace continued. I hope I'm not interrupting your morning. No? I was wondering if you could spare a little time today. Elisa blinked. For me? Grace nodded. I'd like to talk. An hour later, they sat in a quiet cafe. Grace didn't speak about church. She didn't speak about ministry. Instead, she asked simple questions. What makes you happy? Elisa smiled. What makes you angry? Dishonesty. What do you pray for most? My family. Grace listened carefully. She wasn't interviewing Elisa. She was getting to know her when the conversation ended. Grace stood. Thank you, Elisa smiled. Thank you, Elisa smiled. It was nice meeting you, Grace. Hesitated for a moment, then she said, my husband and I would love to have dinner with you tomorrow evening. Elisa looked surprised. Dinner? Yes, you don't have to answer now. Grace handed her a small invitation card. We'll be happy if you come. That evening, Grace returned home. Pastor Jack was already waiting in his study. He looked up well. Grace smiled. It's her, Jack. Closed his eyes for a brief moment, almost like he had been waiting years to hear those words. He stood. Then it's time. The following evening, Elisa stood outside the enormous Julius family residence. Her heart raced. The gates slowly opened. She stepped inside. The house was beautiful, elegant, peaceful. A steward welcomed her warmly inside. Deborah greeted her with a hug. Daniel welcomed her with a smile. Grace appeared moments later. Finally, Pastor Jack walked in. Everyone treated her like an honored guest. Dinner was ready. Elisa followed them into the dining room. She smiled then. She stopped. There were 5 chairs around the dining table. Only 4 people took their seats. 1 chair remained empty. No one mentioned it. No one looked at it. But somehow it felt like everyone was waiting. Elisa looked at the empty chair. Something told her the person who belonged there was about to change her life forever. The dining room was warm and welcoming. The long wooden table had been set beautifully. White plates, crystal glasses, fresh flowers in the center. Elisa smiled. This is beautiful, Grace returned the smile. I'm glad you like it. Daniel pulled out a chair for her. Elisa looked around before sitting. There were 6 chairs around the table. Pastor Jack sat at the head. Grace sat beside him. Deborah took her seat. Daniel sat opposite her. Only 2 chairs remained empty, thinking. One of them was hers. Elisa gently pulled out the chair closest to the window before she could sit. Grace spoke softly. Oh, Elisa looked up. I'm so sorry, Grace smiled kindly. Not that one. Elisa immediately stepped back. Oh, I'm sorry. It's all right. Grace walked over and gently touched the back of the chair. Someone sits there for a brief moment. Nobody said anything. Daniel quietly reached for another chair and pulled it out beside Deborah. You can sit here, Elisa smiled. Thank you, as everyone settled down. Her eyes drifted back to the untouched chair. Dinner was nothing like Elisa expected. There was laughter, stories, even jokes. Daniel had a way of making everyone laugh. Deborah wasn't any different for a moment. Elisa forgot she was sitting in the home of one of the most respected pastors in Africa. They felt normal. Grace placed another serving of food on Elisa's plate. You've hardly eaten. Elisa laughed. I have. Daniel just keeps talking. Daniel raised both hands. I've been accused. Everyone laughed even. Pastor Jack smiled. The evening felt warm, comfortable, like family. Then footsteps echoed upstairs. The dining room became quiet. Not completely. 3 days passed. Elisa had seen Grace Julius more than she had expected. Sometimes they met for lunch. Sometimes they went shopping. Other times they simply drove around the city. Talking about life, Grace never acted like a famous pastor's wife. She listened. She laughed. She remembered little things Elisa said. It felt almost like she had known her for years. That afternoon, Grace invited Elisa to the Julius family home this time. Grace said with a smile, "I want to show you something." She led Elisa upstairs. Not to an office, not to a sitting room, but to a beautiful bedroom. It was elegant without being flashy. Cream-colored walls, a large bookshelf, fresh flowers on a table, a comfortable sofa beside the window. Elisa looked at her carefully. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," Elisa smiled politely. "I don't think those stories are the reason you invited me here." Grace lowered her eyes. "No, you've spent time with me. You've bought me gifts. You've taken me shopping. You've asked me about my dreams." Elisa paused. There has to be another reason. Grace took a slow breath. For the first time since they met, she looked nervous. She reached across the small table and gently held Elisa's hand. There is Elisa waited. Grace's single quotes S voice became softer. "My husband and I have been praying for our son." She paused for a very long time. Elisa said nothing. Grace looked into her eyes. "We believe God led us to you." Silence filled the room. Elisa frowned slightly. "I'm not sure I understand." Grace squeezed her hand gently. "We would like you." She stopped then, gathered the courage to finish, "to consider marrying our son." Everything around Elisa seemed to stand still. She blinked once, then twice. "I'm sorry." Grace nodded slowly. "I know it's unexpected." Elisa stared at her. "The son no one knows." Grace didn't answer immediately. Instead, she smiled. "Yes." The room fell silent outside. The wind stirred the curtains. Inside, Elisa realized that her life had just taken a turn she had never imagined.